life being on this planet, which is, you know, really a very small speck in the Milky Way. And the more I talk to people, you know, I found a real difficult problem with religion as we've always known it, because religion as we've always known it strives to get a person saved, or strives to put a person into a position where that person can find some kind of peace, whatever. But you see, this is the problem. Let's say that you get yourself saved and you get yourself peaceful and you meditate every day and you're nothing, you're like a floating flower. You're absolutely pure and all things. That's wonderful. But you've got to go out there. I mean, you've got to go outside. And it's an insane asylum out there. I mean, it's like, as I said many times, it's okay to be wonderfully pure and spiritual and holy. But if you live on the rifle range at Fort Dix, every time you come out of your house, there's bullets going to be whizzing by. So it's not really a question, really, of finding a peace within yourself or making peace for yourself. It's a question of being part of this cosmic change that brings a whole different environment to the earth, a whole different environment to the universe. And one of the very first things you have to find out, and I like to use the word fundamental, but one of the very first fundamental things that you have to find out is there is no such thing as spirituality. There's no such thing as spirit. It doesn't exist. And yet that's the basis of what everybody goes and seeks. Today there are millions and millions of people going into churches and temples and all kinds of things trying to find the Holy Spirit, or trying to find the Spirit of God, or trying to find peace to their spirit, whatever. And there is no such thing as that. It does not exist. Spirit and spirituality is simply a word that somebody made up trying to describe an invisible force that they don't understand. See, there is an invisible force. There's no doubt about that. Nobody understands what it is, so we'll call it spirit. But you have a brain. On top of your shoulders, there's a head. Inside of that head, there's a brain. And the brain is loaded with cells, and these cells react to things. They don't react to spirit. But they do react to something. They react to something called photon. That's a real thing. And that's an invisible force that creates, that your brain reacts to. So you have to then move out of the realm of this, which is religion and basically silliness, and get to the point of what really happens. You know, there is something that is invisible, which is a force in the universe, which has a creative power to which your body has a mechanism by which it responds to it. There is inside of your body something which is scientifically known as the second messenger. It is an enzyme, I forget the second word, which is a chemical that when there's an extracellular signal coming to you from outside, this chemical triggers a response on the part of the cells inside. So there is a logical way to explain how, quote, what we call God communicates with you and how you communicate back. And so those are the things that you have to start dwelling on. You can't go, anywhere walking around talking about spirit, because there is no such thing. There are photons. There's ATP, there's cyclic AMP, there's gauge bosons, there's all of these different things which are part of the universe, part of the environment, and part of your body, and they interact, and they cause you to be able to move and to be able to understand and to be able to do things. But you have to be willing to start to approach and say, this is how God does this. This is what God is all about. This is what God created. But I mean, it's very easy to just, oh, well, we won't get involved in this because we might have to think. So we'll put that down and we'll call it the Spirit of God. And then we've missed it, because there's no way of dealing with something like this, because the cells in your brain cannot react to anything called spirit. They have to react to something called either photon or electron or whatever. And once you understand this invisible force, you eliminate that word. So we drop the references to spirit. And we say, well, we're going to mature. We're going to start acting like adults, and we're going to start trying to find out. See, in the studies we've done over the last few weeks, we've gone places where nobody has ever gone before. I've told you to put a green light at your house. And, after that, I said, God, here I go, Marshall Applewhite phase 2. I'm going to have them blinking it on and off, looking for UFOs, and, come on. I couldn't. So I have to find a logical explanation for that. Why did I tell you to do that? What's the reference to that? And then we opened up this box that has to do with green light, and we found that the whole essence of life is built on green light. You can't move, you can't think, you can't exist. I mean, the trees and And the bushes and the grass and all of these things can live very fine without you, but you couldn't exist for a minute without that stuff. Your whole body, your whole molecular structure is based on that. See? So we're looking and we're trying to find a logical reason for a belief system that says there's a force outside of ourselves that is invisible, that we cannot see, but that most definitely can communicate with us and we can respond to. But we want to prove this scientifically. We don't want to go to New Age books. We don't want to go to religious books. We want to use common sense, logic, reasoning, and say, how does this work? There's a way all of this stuff works. And everything works on the basis of a response to what's called, the word you understand, energy. And that's what this whole universe is made of. Energy. An energy that cannot be seen. Remember, light cannot be seen, but light makes seeing possible. Light makes it possible for you to see, but you can't see light. And when light oscillates at different speeds, you see colors. You can find colors because there's a different speed at which the light is oscillating. But light, basically, which is the energy that we're talking about, and we have to talk about light as an energy because the Bible itself says God is light. So then we all of a sudden understand that if light comes down at an angle, which all light enters the earth from the universe at an angle, so we have an angle of light, or do we have what you would call an angel of light? And when that angle of light impacts the earth, it creates cellular energy, and it causes an arc within the receptors of the brain. So now we've got an arc angle. And when those receptors experience that arc, gates open within the logic circuits of the brain, and you start to think. You start to understand. Some of you can do things that other people can't do because some of you have gates that are closed, others have gates that are open. And those gates are opened or closed by the angle of light that impacts you from above. It's all electric. It's electric. And basically what it's called is electromagnetic radiation. Light consists of extremely fast oscillations of an electromagnetic field. And those are the things that make it possible. I mean, for instance, this microphone is picked up by that transmitter over there, which is plugged into the wall. If you pull it out, there's no voice because there's no way for that. That has to get energy. Well, how are you getting? What are you plugged into? How come you can move when you're not plugged into anything? Everybody should, if you had a battery somewhere tucked inside, then you should be able to have to plug yourself in and get charged. How can you don't never get charged? But you're constantly on charge. You're constantly receiving angles of light, and inside of you, you have the same thing that a plant has. A plant has hemoglobin or chlorophyll. The plant has chlorophyll, and chlorophyll absorbs the light and creates out of that energy for its cells. Inside of you, you have hemoglobin. Hemoglobin is part of what they call the hemagroup, and hemagroup is the same thing as chlorophyll in a plant. So when the light hits this, it creates energy. It's charging your batteries constantly. Right? And then sometimes when it gets dark out, there's no light, your batteries run down. So you collapse until the light comes out again and you get up. Basically, it's the way it works. Right? And if there was no light, you would just sleep for a period of time until finally you run down, and that would be the end of it. You just wouldn't get up anymore. So here we have a logical explanation of how this happens. And these are energy waves. And it says in electromagnetic radiation is one way in which energy may be transmitted, the others being conduction and so forth and so on. But this is the part that I highlighted. I didn't give you this. Electromagnetic waves need no material medium for transmission. See, what happened? My voice, in order to transmit it, I need a telephone. Okay? But electromagnetic waves need light, thus light and radio waves can travel through interplanetary and interstellar space from the sun and stars to the earth. And they come at 186,272 miles per second. 186,200, that's the speed by which you're being impacted with light or photons, which are impacting your brain and looking for this reaction, causing this cellular reaction within you, causing this energy within you. See? So what do we find? Light is electromagnetic radiation that needs no material medium for transmission. So it's invisible, yet here it is. Okay. It travels at 186,272 miles per second. And then, when we see this, we understand something. We pick up a Bible, and we look in the Bible, and we look at something that's written thousands of years ago by somebody that knew this. Not a sheep herder, not somebody out of a temple, not somebody from Egypt, but somebody that really understood the speed of light. I mean, Einstein and people like that, came to conclusions about this in the 1900s, but who knew this thousands of years ago? There's a tribe in the Bible called the tribe of Judah. That's the origin of the word Jew. That's God's chosen people. Why? Because it says in the book of Numbers that they have to camp at the east, at the point of the rising sun, at the point where the light is. Okay? And they're called the tribe of light, the children of light. Let me show you that so you understand that. Would you look at page 326 in the Bible? See it for yourself. Page 326 in the book of 2 Kings. 2 Kings chapter 8. 2 Kings chapter 8. And look at verse 19. And look what it says. The Lord would not destroy Judah for David his servant's sake, as he had promised him to give him always a light to him and his children. So Judah can never be destroyed because Judah is the tribe of light. Judah is the children of light. That's what it means that Jews are God's chosen people. How come? Because if you go over there and live over there, you're going to say the Jews are going to say, why don't you choose somebody else? Because, this place is a mess. All there is people blowing up things. It's not nice. But it's not talking about people that live there. It's talking about people who camp to the east, who camp to the right side, who camp at the place of light, who camp at the place of enlightenment. See? Now, watch what I'll show you. Go to page 115 in your Bible. And in page 115, you're at the book of Numbers. And you look at Numbers chapter 2. And in Numbers chapter 2, if you look at verse 3, you see there that it says that, and on the east side towards the rising of the sun shall they of the camp of Judah pitch their... So they are camped at the east at the point of the rising sun. The tribe of light, the children of light, at the point of the rising sun. Well, that's interesting, but now go down a few verses to verse 9. All that were numbered in the camp of Judah were 100,000. Okay, let's put that down, 100,000. All right? And the next one there is, and 80,000. A score is 20. So 80,000 would be 4 times 20 or 80,000. Okay, so now we got 180,000. And then it says, and 6,000, okay, and 400. 186,400. Well, this constant speed of light is 186,272. I'd say that's a pretty good match for the children of light, the tribe of light. And not only that, you say, well, why didn't they have it exact? Remember something, if you know Einstein's theory of relativity, you'll understand that all things are relative depending on where you're evaluating this from. It may be 186,272 miles per second here, but for somebody looking at it from someplace else, it's 186,400. Okay? But nonetheless, there's the constant speed of light shown in a Bible in a passage written thousands and thousands of years ago. By who? By the same people who said that they took a rib out of Adam to make Eve. And you went to school and you brought all your kids to Sunday school to learn that lesson. Shame on you. I always had a problem with that when I was a little kid. I always thought to myself, because when I was a little kid we were meat eaters, which I don't do anymore, but we were meat eaters at the time. And my mother would always make spare ribs. There's a lady in there. We can make a lady out of that. I never thought women were made out of spare ribs. That's terrible. But that's what it says in the Bible. He took a rib out of this guy and made this nice-looking girl. How'd you do that? I mean, if that was, if that was possible, you'd see guys lined up, at the butcher shop. And I have, half pound spare ribs. Well, of course, it's silly. So what's it talking about? Adam is not Adam at all. We know that. Adam is Adam. How do we know that? Because you can't take a rib out of Adam and make people. But if you take an electron out of Adam, You split that atom and you cause fission, which causes a chain reaction of replication, and you have self-creation caused by splitting the atom. So then we see that the Bible is saying thousands of years ago that all life began with the splitting of the atom. That's logical. That makes sense. So now we see that God and human beings, through the children of light, are connected by a medium called light. Electromagnetic waves, radiation, the light that comes from the sun, the light that comes from the stars, the light that comes from the planets. And something happens when that light changes. And we were talking about this last night. Just think of this. Human beings came to the earth 500,000 years ago. They were called Java Man. Whatever they learned. Java Man, man. That's Java Man living. Who lives down the street? Java Man lives down the street. Woo! But it took 499,900 years to make a light bulb. What the heck were you doing? Running around trying to make a wheel and dragging women by hair and clubbing things and all of this. 499,900 years to make a light bulb. But once you made the light bulb, all of a sudden everything broke loose. Actually, it was only about 75 years ago when the real start began with the inventions and the understanding. And then you had televisions and radios and automobiles and planes. And now you got things riding on Mars and Hubbles and all of this thing. How come all of a sudden you got smart? What happened? How come you were a fakakta from 499,000 years and then 100 years ago all of a sudden you start to understand? Because 100 years ago, the Earth started to come under a new angle called Aquarius. And that which was total darkness as far as the mind of people was concerned started to change because you started to be hit. The human brain was hit by light from a different angle. And gates started to open within the human brain, and you started to understand things. And it goes on and on and on. And so there has to be an explanation. Why was there such darkness? Why was there such lack of understanding for thousands and thousands of years? I mean, it was only a little over 100 years ago that they had horse and buggies going out here and gas lamps and writing with quill pens. And then all of a sudden, the calculators and computers and all of this stuff, because the angle is intensifying, and the light is intensifying that's hitting the Earth, and this change caused this tremendous opening of enlightenment, of understanding. And so now I've asked you, I said, well, put a green light up at your house. And you put a green light at your house, and the same reason that they put blood on the doorpost in the biblical Passover. You're not signaling to a UFO, you're signaling to God that this is a house that understands that it is light from above that touches the green earth and creates a new energy. And that it is light that is coming to the earth now in a whole new way to touch the earth and create this new energy. And where is it coming from? You don't look to me to tell you. You certainly don't go to church to find out because they haven't a clue about that. You don't look in New Age magazines. You go to the scientists. You go to the astronomers. You go to NASA. And you say, where is this coming from? And they'll tell you. There is a supernova which is colliding and expanding, and the light is supposed to hit this Earth sometime between now and the year 2000. Never happened before. Right on the heels of all the planetary discoveries they've been making in Pegasus and all of these things. So between now and the year 2000, this Earth is going to be hit by this tremendous light. I want you to have a green light because I want you to be able to say to the Creator of all things, hey, we understand that this light is coming to bring forth a new energy to turn us, to move us away from all of the violence and all of the hate and all of the hurt and all of the things that have gone on in traditional concepts of religion and systems of the world. And we're waiting now to move to a new place, to a promised land. Not to leave the Earth, to move to a new place of understanding and of consciousness. So let's ask for a minute, how does this light reach the Earth? And I'm telling you this stuff, and you say, well, what's he, another guy. But I don't operate that way. If I tell you something, I'll give you documentation. And then you study it, and you want to say, well, I don't agree with that. I hope you do. That's fine, because I don't want people agreeing with me. I don't want to form a cult. There's no members here. So, I mean, whatever you think, you think. That's none of my business. But I want to show you and at least give you the opportunity to think. So how does the light get down here? Go to page 63 on the material that that Joan gave you. And if you look at page 63, you'll see something that's interesting. Two things interesting by Dr. Gerald Toller of the Goddard Space Lab at NASA. One thing that Dr. Toller states, and if you see, it's the first paragraph that is circled. And the first thing that Dr. Toller states is Dr. Toller has proved with other scientists that when you look at the universe and you see it as massively big as it is, you can only see 10% of it. Only 10% of the universe is visible, 90% of the universe is hidden. Can you imagine what we can see in the universe, and all you can see is 10% of it, and 90% of it is hidden? Now what's so interesting about that is that the human brain, 10% is yours. 90% is the right side of what we call the spiritual, excuse the word, the God side, the creative side, the emotional side. So then the universe is the same as the human brain, at least in this respect. But of course there's something else about the universe. There's 12 constellations in the ecliptic, which is the pathway of the sun. There's 12 signs in the zodiac. And there's 12 cranial nerves in your brain. So you have a plug here to go into the outlet up there, haven't you? And then we're finding out that the brain 10 and 90 is the same according to these scientists. And you've got the documentation here. I didn't say that, he said it. I'm not capable of saying things like that, but he certainly is. And it says that he has confirmed other estimates that 90% of matter in the universe is missing. You think, oh, people say, God, I take Hubble and look, you can see billions of years and you can see all of these wonders and you can see all of these solar systems and there's billions and billions and billions, and you can only see 10% of it. Where's the other 90%? But the interesting thing, what I wanted to show you about how light comes down, if you look at 2 paragraphs down from that, new data will help investigators study diffuse celestial light such as zodiacal light, which reaches the Earth after being reflected by dust. In other words, light enters the Earth at an angle. That's an angle of light. Do you realize that there is no such thing as angels? Angels are angles of light. Well, you're saying to me, but I know somebody saw somebody. Okay, they saw somebody. But they were able to see somebody because the angle of light opened through an arc in a receptor of the brain, opened a gate, and when the gate opened, you're able to see something maybe for an instant. But what you're looking at is a person. What you're calling an angel is somebody you're able to see because of an angle of light. And this person is a person who lives in another dimension or in another place. And when you start thinking of these things, you say, well, that's far-fetched. Let me tell you something. Go back 100 years ago and talk to people about calculators. Go back and talk about computers. Go back and talk about televisions and all of these things. And these are all far-fetched. This is not far-fetched. There's people who say, well, you know, you don't have to worry about meeting people on other planets because they live billions of light years away and it would take them billions of light years to get here. No, it wouldn't, because all they do is implode. Bang. They implode. Just like a star implodes on itself and becomes a black hole, and there is no space, there is no time, everything is instant. You're one end of the universe to the other in an instant. And say, when we try to figure things out like that, don't forget we're thinking with the 5 senses and we can't rationalize that. But if you talk to a quantum physicist, and they'll tell you about that. And you'll be able to understand things like that. So then when we talked about light, and we understood about light what we shared with you last week, and something that I think is an exceptionally good understanding, what do we find? We find that we studied the story of Jesus. We studied the story of Joseph. Jesus was born of a virgin named Mary. Joseph was born from the barren womb of Rachel. All children of promise are either born from a virgin or a barren womb, because we're talking about meditation. Joseph had 12 brothers and 1 sister, which are the 12 signs of the zodiac. We say it can't be 12 signs of the zodiac because that's 13. No, Simeon and Levi were brothers and they count as 1, Gemini. They were twins. So he had 12, and Jesus had 12 disciples. And Jesus was put into the tomb and resurrected to sit at the right hand of the Father. And Joseph was put into the tomb, into the pit, and resurrected to sit at the right hand of the Pharaoh. And the sun comes out of the pit of the winter solstice and rises up to Aries to sit at the right hand, at the right side in the eastern sky of the northern hemisphere. And on June 21st, by celestial right ascension, we have the longest, most sun-filled day of the year. So it's the sun. And Jesus is betrayed by a disciple, and Joseph is betrayed by his brothers. It's the sun. They're talking about the sun. Everything is about the sun in the sky. and the sun inside of you. And so then, when I hear the song, How I Love My Coat of Many Colors, I understand that the story of Joseph and the many-colored coat is the story of the many-colored spectrum of the sun. Certainly the Father gives his S-U-N a many-colored coat. What's he? I can't believe that. That makes sense. That's logical. But that's what it is. How I love my coat of many colors. It was green and yellow and orange and red and all the spectrums of the sun in the sky. So then you say, well, so who knew that? Who knew that? I mean, Andrew Lloyd Webber didn't write that. That was written thousands of years ago by somebody who knew of the spectrums of the sun, of the color spectrums of the sun. So now we look, and I showed you last week, but I want to go over just for a moment with you. Look on page 71 of the material, and look at fundamental particles. Okay? In other words, what you're going to do here before you leave the room is you've gone into churches all of your life and gone out and say God, and have telling you God is good. There's a man in the sky who's ticked off because you went to Atlantic City or all this stuff. And now all of a sudden you're going to find out that there is some logic involved in all of this. You're going to find out how this works. You're going to find out that you have inside of you, whether you like it or not, two things. One thing you have inside of you in the middle of your brain is an organ called Ammon's horn. Now this is a lot of Christians don't like this, and a lot of Jewish people wouldn't like this, because Ammon is the Egyptian deity. But you can't take this out of your head unless you have, what do they call them, lobotomies or something like that. Ammon's horn is an organ in the middle of your brain. But you know what's interesting about it? It's in the hippocampus of the brain, which is the part responsible for memory. And if you have a computer, you know that the part responsible for memory in the computer is called RAM. Well, in the middle of your brain is Ammon's horn, in the spot responsible for memory, and the symbol of Ammon, the Egyptian deity, is the RAM. So in the middle of a computer, the part responsible for memory is RAM, and in the middle of your brain, the part responsible for memory is RAM. Okay? So we're looking then at the brain, we're looking at how God, or whatever it is, does these things, and we look on page 71, fundamental particles, and we come up with a new word, gauge boson. Did you know there was gauge boson inside of you? Do now. Gauge boson. And gauge boson are particles with no mass that transmit all the forces in the universe. Please look at the top of this page. This has nothing to do with any New Age books or any Old Age books or any religious books. This comes from the Encyclopedia of Science, okay? So now let's look under gauge bosons. Wow, messenger particles carrying the fundamental forces of nature, and the most prevalent or common example is photon. Carrying all the forces of the universe, and photon is light. Now let's go down and we find something very interesting, which are called second messengers. And this is how it works. Second messengers are chemicals produced within a cell in response to an extracellular signal. In other words, there is a signal outside trying to get your attention, and here is a chemical that kicks in and causes a response. Go down to the types of second messengers at the bottom of the page. The main second messengers are cyclic AMP. Now, if you turn to page 72, you find that cyclic AMP is formed by the action of the enzyme adenylate cyclase on ATP. I know, but you don't have to remember adenylate cyclase or anything like that, but here's what you have to remember, okay? When a signal comes to you from, say, God, okay, it causes energy as it hits the green or the hemoglobin in the body. And that signal, which is an extracellular signal, then causes a chemical inside of you to awaken or to be triggered, and it causes a response. That's how it works. That's how you respond to God. It's done in a completely scientific and chemical way. Right? So messenger particles carrying the fundamental forces of nature. There's a new book out about angels, and they're advertising it all over the place on CBS, and the name of the book is Messengers. Well, what have we learned? An angle of light is a messenger. That's the first messenger. Inside of you, the response comes from the second messenger. That's how it works. But these aren't people flying around with wings. These aren't invisible people hovering over you as you're sitting in your chair. This is all done by electricity. The communication goes on inside of you. Your whole world goes on inside of you. You could care less about what I'm saying. You could care less about what goes on up on the street. Everything in your world is confined to within here. The people that are sitting next to you that think they know you haven't a clue about you. They don't have a clue as to who you really are, what you really think. If you knew what the person sitting next to you right now is thinking, you'd probably get run out of the building. Don't touch me! You know? Because we don't understand the worlds that we have inside of here. And each one of us has a different response. Each one of us must individually. I don't know if you notice, you know, I was saying to Joan, you know, it's such a, you can see the change even in the things that we make. Like on Fridays, they have all of these old cars come down, and everybody brings their old cars and they put them in the parking lot here. And I said, look at, I said to Joan, see, those are all individuals. Look at them. Every one of them's got a personality. They got fins, and they got things on them, and they got things sticking up, and different colors. Look at this, red on the top and white on the bottom, and they all had personalities. And I said, now take a look, and you'll see what's happened to the human race. It's happened to us. Take a look at the way they are now. And we look up Route 9, here comes all these gray things rolling down. What happened? They're all the same, and they all look the same colors. And there's no individuality anymore. They've lost it. It's like all the people going to church. All right, you sit down and you get up, and you kneel down and you sit down and you get up, and you pick up and you sing when you said to sing, and you stop when you said to stop. You've lost it. And yet we find out that the true essence, the true experience is this individuality. The messenger of God does not have a mouth or ears. The messenger of God cannot be seen, but makes you see. But you and I have got to be blind to the traditional concept. What you've got to do is close your eyes to all of those things that are taught by the traditional essences of what we call religion. You can't watch it. You've got to close your ears to all of this. Let me show you where it says that in the Bible. Look at page 607. And if you look at page 607, look at Isaiah chapter 42. And in Isaiah chapter 42, if you look at verse 18, in Isaiah chapter 42, verse 18, it says, "Hear, you deaf, and look blind, that you may see." See? You can't see. You've got, how old are you? How long have you gone to church? But you've never been able to see. Because why? Because the person who's trying to show you how to see is blind. And you're trying to find out how to see from a person who's never been able to see. And that's why it says in the Bible, the blind lead the blind, and they both fall into a ditch. That's what it says. And look what it says in verse 19. "Who is blind but my servant, or deaf as my messenger that I sent? Who is blind as he that is perfect?" In other words, I'm blind, but not to this. I'm blind from the things that are going on out there. I don't want to see what you've got to show me anymore. Because what you're showing me is a Bible in which you're saying there's two people running around with no shorts on, and a snake's telling them you don't have any pants on. And if you eat this apple, you'll get smart. And this is your foundation of your church, and you're taking your kids. I don't want to see that. I don't want to hear about some fish swallowing a guy and then throwing up and an evangelist comes out. I don't want to hear that. I know that that's not what it means. So I've got to become blind to these things. I've got to understand things from a new perspective. I've got to understand things from the reality of science. I know things are rational. And I notice, look at these second messengers. There are chemicals produced within a cell in response to an extracellular signal. You see, there is inside of you a second messenger. But how are you ever going to know if you don't allow that second messenger to become active? And don't tell me you do, because you don't, and I'll tell you why. One of the messengers inside of your body triggers a chemical called melatonin. That's triggered through the pineal gland of the brain. And the only time that really is triggered is when you sleep, but that's not good enough. Because if and you've got documentation in your hands from great universities, the University of Massachusetts and the University of Seville and all of these places telling you melatonin is having positive effects on multiple sclerosis, on Parkinson's disease, on cancer, on healing, and aging, and all of these things. But when do you get it? Just when you sleep? That's not enough. Why? Because you're not meditating. And when you go into a room that is absolutely black, absolutely dark, not one bit of light in it, then melatonin flows. And you know what? Most people have never done that. Never done it. And so then the doctors say, well, as you get older, the melatonin goes down. Because it goes down because it was never triggered. Nobody ever told anybody, except in the Bible. It says if your eye be single, your body will fill with light. So the first messenger is the light. The second messenger is the chemical within yourself. But if you're listening to the teachers out there, how can you respond to this? I don't know if you'll ever come back here. I mean, that's none of my business. But I've given you documentation. You look at it. You don't have to listen to me. I didn't write this stuff. I don't know these things. But I have given you documentation that shows you that there is something that goes on, that an extracellular signal is interpreted by a chemical within you that responds to the signal. You never knew that. But now you've got scientific documentation. You can look up in any encyclopedia about gauge bosons or photons. You can look it up yourself. You don't need me to tell you that stuff. And do you have to, what do you have to do? You symbolically have to cut your ears off and not listen to that stuff anymore. And don't allow your children to listen to it. I mean, what have we accomplished? What's your sign of success? You got more drug outreach centers in this country than you got AMPs. For what? Because you've created a bastion of fear and guilt and misunderstanding about nature. We don't understand it. We don't understand how it works. And so you're willing to sit in a church and say, the Spirit of God came on me. No, there was some kind of an electrical signal that impacted a cell in your brain. That's what happened. Figure it out. See how you deal with it. How do you harmonize with it? How do you make it work? How does it work? Can you sit in front of a computer and say, oh, great computer, touch me? What's it going to do? It's going to sit there. What do you have to do? You got to turn it on. You got to work it. You got to know what's going on. You got the most magnificent computer sitting between your ears. You don't even know how to work it. And it's got RAM. That's what you don't need more religion. You need more RAM. When you have more RAM, then you begin to understand things. What's wrong with that? And so it says then, if you look at page 628 of the Bible in the book of Jeremiah, it talks about, cutting away the relationship that you have to the people who have been teaching you all of these years. That God is trying to talk to you. But the signal's got to come to you and the response has got to come inside of you. Jeremiah chapter 6, look at Jeremiah chapter 6 and verse 10. To whom shall I speak and give warning that they may hear? Their ear is uncircumcised. In fact, if you come here, Tuesday night we're going to have a great ear circumcision. You'll really... No, I'm teasing. But, somebody will go out and they'll saw you. You know what they do down there? Don't drink the water. Whom shall I speak? Their ear is uncircumcised. In other words, it means you haven't cut away your hearing from all of that stuff that goes on out there. Tell me, what has it ever done for you? Tell me, what has ever been right about it? What has it ever accomplished? We have groups of that machine gun. We have gods of war. There's not just one God. There's a Jewish God and there's a Christian God. You say, oh, they're the same God. No, they're not. The Jewish God does not have a kid named Jesus. It's a different guy. Well, who is this then? And then there's a Hindu God, and there's a Buddhist God, and there's the Muslim God. And the Jewish God said to his Jewish priest, he says, take all the land from the Arabs. And they did. And then the Muslim God got up and he said, get it back. Whoa. And that's what, and we created all of this stuff, all of these wars. Did you notice that when they blew up the supermarket in Israel the other day, they left a message, praise be God. What is this? I want to buy some oranges, then the whole place blows up, praise the God. But that's what it is, it's violent stuff. And it teaches that, and it teaches the fighting and the killing and the fear and all of these things. See? So you got to cut away from those teachings. And then we looked about cyclic AMP. It is formed by the action of this enzyme. There's a photosynthesis of light, which is the second messenger. See? Then Jesus said the light of the body is the eye. That's the single eye. That's the pineal gland. That's the third eye. If your eye be single, your body will fill with light. Let me show you what happened. You know, you didn't know. Some of you don't know what happened. After they found the planets, we waited, and I told you there has to be an explosion now in heaven of the third eye, the single eye. And all of a sudden, here on the picture on National Geographic, I mean, if God puts a picture of his face on National Geographic, shouldn't you at least pay attention? Shouldn't you at least look at the thing? What he did. April 1997 edition of National Geographic. Something that the scientists say they've never seen anything like it before, they've never seen anything behave like it before, but there it is. What is it? Aren't you even curious? Could that be? And if you get close enough to this, you'll see it's an eye. It's a regular eye, just like the eye in your head. It's an eye. And it's a green eye. And that wasn't seen 10,000 years. It was saw April. That picture was in National Geographic 2 months ago. Okay. The third eye, the single eye, and it's looking down from the sky. And what are you doing? They're going to church and they're singing songs. It's no time for that anymore. The time for that is over. See? And so we come together here and we start to study these things, and we're told about the pineal gland, and we see the pineal gland. You see what that is? The third eye. Look at that again. Let me see that again. This third eye in God is called, in your brain, is called the pineal gland of the brain. The pineal gland of the brain secretes a hormone called melatonin. Huh? Okay. Now let me show you something after you've looked at that. And we'll be out of here in a few minutes. Take a look at page 28 of your Bible. And look at Genesis chapter 32. And in Genesis chapter 32, look at verse 30. And Jacob called the name of the place Peniel, for I have seen God face to face. I didn't write that. I didn't make it up. It's a gland in the middle of your brain that secretes melatonin, which is light. It's a skin lightener. And there it is. It's in the sky. Hubble took a picture of it. Sure, it's been there for thousands of years, but now we've evolved to the point where we can see it. Don't you understand what's going on? When you send your child to kindergarten or to first grade, there's trigonometry, there's algebra, there's marketing, there's all kinds of things waiting to be studied, to be seen, to be understood. But that child can't touch those things until it evolves to a point where it can reach at that age and then touch them and study them. The same with the people on the earth. We weren't ready, but yet in the Bible is about the speed of light. It's about nuclear fission. It's about the construction of the human brain. What did God say to Moses? Moses, I want you to make a temple, and I want you to make it according to a pattern. And this is the pattern. The outer room is the holy room. The inner room is the holy of holies. And you divide the two by a curtain or a veil. And then you open Stedman's Medical Dictionary, and you find out that the human brain has an outer covering called dura mater, an inner place called pia mater, which is the most sensitive part of the brain. And dura mater and pia mater are separated by something called the arachnoid, which is the web or the curtain or the veil. Who wrote that 5,000 years ago? Forget that this stuff is in here. Who wrote it? Who wrote the constant speed of light 5,000 years ago? Who wrote it? The people that live here wrote it. The people who live at 45, 55 wrote it. In other words, an advanced civilization wrote this and waited for you to evolve to a point where you could start to understand it. And now you've reached that point in life where you can start to understand these things. Because you've got Hubble, you've got scientists. But the scientists are yelling all over the place. They're excited. They're discovering these planets. They're discovering these. And you're not paying any attention. I don't mean this for you individually. When I say you, I mean the collective you. You're not paying any attention. Not a bit of attention. And this is going to go on for nothing you're doing is essential at all. The most essential, the most important thing you can do is get into a dark room, and then allow yourself to just be responsive to the messenger. Allow the second messenger inside of yourself to come to life and be responsive to the messenger. Allow this to happen. That's the most, because there's a message coming down now, and you're not paying any attention to it. Okay? And then what happens? You say, well, you know, let me tell you what happens. You ever go in the ocean and you see a big wave and you say, okay, let's go out. You get on top of the wave and you ride the wave in, and it's a lot of fun, isn't it? You can have a lot of fun. As long as you're looking and you know it's coming, it's a lot of fun. But if you don't know it's coming and you got your back to it and it slams into you, then it may not be so much fun. So it's understanding this. I don't know what else I could do. I don't know how else I could tell anybody. What else? We've got a website. We're sending out tapes and doing all this. And every doggone thing I've said to you, I've given you scientific documentation as to what this is all about. Everything is scientifically documented. You've got it here. I don't know what else I could do. And now you're seeing it. There's the eye in the sky, the third eye. What would be the chances if after those 8 planets, what would be the chances of the single eye of God making itself obvious in the sky? And there's a picture of it on the cover of National Geographic, April, and you didn't even see it. And yet they'll go in church and they'll read about, you know, old stories of people, fish swallowing people, and this is wonderful. So then we get to this place and we suddenly say, okay, now there has come a time when I begin to understand. I think I know, I think I can see what's going on, and I can understand how this works, and I have to be open to these angles of light which are coming down to the earth now. Things are happening on the earth that never happened before. And don't take my word, because you can't put any I don't have any credibility for this kind of stuff because I'm not capable. But what I'm asking you to do is start paying attention to the Geoffrey Marcys of the world, who are the scientists out in San Francisco, or the Quidier Delius up in Switzerland, or George Gatewood in Baltimore, or these people of NASA. Pay attention, and they'll tell you, why we can't understand, we can't explain what's going on. What are we seeing these things? And yet all of the religious people who are supposedly seeking God are the ones that are not looking. They're not paying any attention. How is this going to really happen? It has to come from the sky. What does it say in the first page of the Bible? Let the stars be for signs. God named them all. The light of the world. All of these things are coming down upon the earth. And now you got this supernova, which light is supposed to hit the earth between now and the year 2000. That's only 2 years away. And is that what I'm talking about? Is that where this change, this new energy? So put the green light up on your house. What have you got to lose? What's it cost? $50 for a bulb? I say, oh, I'm not going to get involved in that. I had an electrician come down, and the electrician was putting in a spotlight. We have a regular green bulb, and then we put in a spotlighted green bulb. So the electrician was out there, and he says, well, what do you want to light? I said, nothing. Okay. I said, look, you wouldn't understand. Just put the green light in. Don't worry about it. Well, as we're going out the door, his helper was standing there, and he said, hey, you know, Joe, you got a green light on your back porch, too. He says, yeah, I know. He says, is it the same reason? And I says, well, I guess so. But you put a green light up because this is the Passover. You're going to pass over from everything that's old to everything that's new. What have you got to lose? And somebody says, what the hell you got a green light in your house for? But this is what you say. Look, it's just a way of bringing back to my memory the fact that it is light from above that touches the green earth and creates this new energy. So, yeah, that explains that. They don't have to know. And look, let me ask you something else. If God happens to come back in a UFO, what do you care? That's his business. Christianity could never handle the second coming of Jesus because he's got to come back, according to them, on a horse, a real horse, riding through the sky with sandals on and a white sheet and long hair. Now, forget the fact this was 4,000 years ago. He's got to come back that way, see? But you know there's a whole different thing, and I'll wrap this up with this. I told the people on television, I come out on television the other night and said, I am going to prove to you that one of the greatest Bible heroes was an alien from outer space. Well, you know that people say, hey, why do you hear this? There's nuts on again. But they're not going to turn it off. Okay? And I did prove that one of the greatest Bible heroes was an alien from outer space. You can prove that in the Bible. If you go back to the book of 2 Kings, there's this guy Elijah, and he's walking along with a friend of his. Where are we going, Elijah? And Elijah says, I'm going to be taken up. You're going to what? I'm going to be taken up. Taken up what? I'm going to leave the earth. Oh. Not bad. When is this going to happen? Right now. So they come to a place where there's a rendezvous place, and according to the Bible, a fiery chariot comes. And Elijah gets in the fiery chariot. The fiery chariot takes off and goes up into the sky. And his friend stands there, and according to the Bible, watches him fly out of, just like in Kennedy, you know, down there. Wow, what a liftoff this is. Liftoff, we have ignition. All this thing. This guy's Elijah's in this spaceship flying up into the sky. And I guess the guy stayed there and he, what should I do? I'm going to write a Bible. Wait till you see this. They'll never believe this. I'm going to write a Bible. Now that should be enough of the story, right? But let me tell you this Elijah. In the Bible, his name is Elijah the Tishbite. That's a funky name, Elijah the Tishbite. The word Elijah means stranger. The word Tishbite means from the high country. So you think that's where the story ends, but it doesn't. We go about 2,000 years ahead, and there's a guy named Jesus standing there. They're all gathered around. He said, I want to tell you something. What? See that guy? Yeah, that's John the Baptist. That's Elijah. You've got ears, listen. And he walked away. Now remember that Elijah never died. The last time anybody saw that guy, he was in a spaceship heading north. But he's back. And he's called John the Baptist now. But according to Jesus, that's Elijah, who never died, but lifted off to the earth in a spaceship and came back. So if this thing called God is to come back in a spaceship, so be it. Who cares? But the primary point that I ask you to consider with this green light is that you are acknowledging your understanding of the fact that a light is coming upon the earth. And look at it on these pictures. A light is coming upon the earth. Study it. If you have a computer, get on with the encyclopedia or the Academy of Science on your computer. Study this stuff. The University of San Francisco State University, Dr. Geoffrey Marcy, study this stuff. These people know. These people are the ones who were telling us this is going to happen. And then you realize that it is light that touches the green of the earth that makes energy that allows you to live. Okay? And we'll do that together. We'll wait together, and we'll study together, and we'll understand together, and we will no longer place ourselves back into the guilt and the fear of the past, but we will place ourselves in this age of new understanding, new enlightenment, for the sake of the children who have been brutalized, for the sake of the women who have been degraded, for the sake of the animals who have been terribly tortured, for the sake of the earth itself, which has been, you take the most beautiful creation in the universe that we know of, this gem called Earth, and we have bombed it and raped it and pillaged it and so forth, even to the point where it's so many of its animals, its creatures that are here for a purpose are on the verge of extinction. It shouldn't be that way. It shouldn't be that way. And it won't be that way when this new light and this energy comes and touches the earth. So be a part of it. Be a part of the understanding. Does everyone in here understand that light touching the green earth creates a new energy? You understand that. And you've had it proven to you. So then put your green light out.
No, but explain about the Passover.
What is it?
Explain that it's the Passover.
Well, yeah, I tried to do that. Joe wanted me, and I'll do it real quickly for you, to understand that what has happened is, I won't take your time, I promise you, but you have a Passover inside of yourself. And this happens when the solar plexus energy goes up to the pineal gland and flows open the right hemisphere. Then you have a Passover on the earth. There's 7 chakras or 7 nerve centers inside of your spine that the energy goes through. Then you have the Passover of the earth when the sun from September goes up through the 7 months to April and impacts Aries and then moves to the east, and we pass over from winter to spring. Here you pass over from darkness to enlightenment. You have the Passover in the Bible. And what does the Bible say? Do not eat bread with leaven in it for 7 days. Well, leaven is fermentation, and fermentation is unrest and agitation. So you go through these 7 signs, 7 chakras, and then you reach a point of Passover to the Promised Land. Now, and the universe is having its Passover now, and that's what's exciting about this. All of this other stuff has happened. But now the universe, they have discovered the 7 planets. They started with Pegasus, which was the sign. Then they went from Virgo up to Leo, which was the 7th. They concluded it with Cygnus, which was the trumpeter swan. Then there was the discovery made in Corona of the crown, which is the consciousness, and then the explosion of the single eye. So what I'm saying to you now is the next thing that will happen is, since we now see the single eye in the universe, is that the next thing was happen is this electromagnetic radiation from the supernova will bathe the Earth, and it will come at such an angle that there will be a tremendous new source of energy and a whole new way of thinking. Many people will go to bed with guns and wake up with teddy bears because they will no longer be able to think the way they've thought before. Thank God. That's what's coming upon the Earth. But God needs people who understand this to be part of the message to be given out. You understand? The people that wrote about nuclear fission and all that had their Aquarius there are people that live on a planet here. They had their Aquarius 6,000 years ago. So they're 6,000 years ahead of us. They knew 6,000 years ago what we're just finding out now. So then the people that we're expecting to instruct us and have already started, as I've shown you in the Bible, are the people that live here. There. Okay? That's fine. Now there are people here who live on another planet who are still in Taurus. They still have to go through all of this stuff that we've gone through on this Earth until they reach their Aquarius 5,000 years from now. Now when they start looking up, waiting for visitors to come and help them, guess who it's going to be? That's right. Do you think? There's somebody down there right now with a club in his hand. Do you think people live up in space? It's you. So it's great. It's exciting, and be a part of it in a mature, adult, understanding way. That's what the nature of God truly is. The nature of God, as the Coptic said thousands of years ago, does not come with faith. It comes with knowledge. Okay?